Hello and welcome to CIO Leadership Live. I'm Cathy O'Sullivan, Editorial Director for CIO.com in Australia and New Zealand. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Kalyanasundaram, who is the Technology and Digital Transformation Director at Lion. Hi Ram, thanks for being with us on the podcast today.
Hi Cathy, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Great stuff. Look, I love asking CIOs about their origin stories. So let's start at the beginning. What sparked your interest in technology, and what are some of the moments or experiences that have been most influential in your path to the CIO role?
Sure. Look, I was born in the 80s, born in India, grew up when computers were just becoming household objects. And initially, it was IBM personal computing that got into my school, and I still vividly remember as a fourth or fifth grader using Lotus 123 on our school in our school at a school library, and that definitely was one of the biggest turning points from me playing some silly games on DOS that didn't even have graphics. That basically attracted me towards personal computing, and as I was finishing up my schooling days, Windows was gaining momentum. Windows 95 was launched, and a lot of business applications were changing the way technology were influencing organizations and businesses in the marketplace, and that became a really big attracting power for me. I still vividly remember one of my professors or teachers helping us understand the 8086 microprocessor and how that works, and I was captivated by that. And as a child, there was no second thoughts that my career is going to be in technology. My parents obviously wanted me to be a doctor, and as Indian parents do, and but that was not my calling. My calling was always in technology. And then as I was finishing up my school, the dot-com revolution had started, and that basically catapulted all of my thinking into how I would take my career forward. So I signed up for a lot of additional technology-related courses outside of my curriculum in college, and there was no turning back from there. And it was basically the blend of pure logic and imagination that just had this magnetic power that just continued to draw me towards technology. It is one of the fields where you can take a problem, you can apply structure to it, and create something that changes outcomes for people. And I've seen that change drastically over the few decades, that I've been operating in this field, and even as recently as now, where ChatGPT or AI, generative AI and agentic AI have come in and literally appended everything that we knew about technology, and has now put forward a new proposition in terms of how technology can impact organizations positively in the marketplace, not just organizations, humanity overall. But without going into that much philosophy, I've always been gravitated towards this problem solver identity that technology gives me. And the moments that have shaped my career so far within technology have been very less about any specific title. It's mainly about being able to get that next role where I can actually make an impact and solve more and more problems for the business. And my shift from delivering systems to delivering outcomes through people has been very deliberate. I've never been a born leader, and to me, what has been exciting over the last decade or so is to not just influence outcomes with technology, but also influence people, their careers, their trajectories, and influencing and achieving via those people as well. So, been loving the leadership part and the leadership quotient of technology as well over the last few years.
So let's get into your current role. You are Technology and Digital Transformation Director at Lion. And for those who don't know Lion well, can you give us a snapshot of the organization and tell us a bit more about your role and how your team supports the broader business?
Yeah, sure. So Lion is one of Australia's biggest or largest alcoholic beverage manufacturer, and we have operations throughout Australia and New Zealand. We've got 8 major sites. For example, Forex in Brisbane, Tooheys in New South Wales, The Pride in Auckland, New Zealand. We've got Panhead, Emerson's, Forex, Tooheys, James Bogue, Little Creatures, Stone and Wood. So we are mainly known via our brands, not as Lion the company, but obviously our brands are much loved and well appreciated by the people of Australia and New Zealand. Kirin is our parent company, but our operations are run out of Australia and New Zealand. We've got about close to 2,500 people overall in Australia and New Zealand, and there's about close to 8 main sites that we operate, and not including the 2 headquarters, one in Sydney and for the Australian business, and one in Auckland for the New Zealand business. It is a complex consumer business, and there's complex supply chain with third-party logistics. There's manufacturing, distribution, commercial execution. It is the kind of environment where reliability matters a lot, and digital and data now are increasingly being able to create that competitive advantage for Lion. And my team and I have shaped that over the last 7 to 10 years, where technology has had a meaningful impact for Lion in the marketplace. And in my role as Group Technology and Digital Transformation Director with the CIO mandate, setting the technology strategy, running the core technology operations, uplifting cyber and resilience, leading enterprise-wide technology programs is the mandate for me and my team. And the simplest way to describe the team's purpose is that we enable the business to grow and not just maintain steady state, and obviously operate safely and adapt faster. And those are principles that we continue on day in, day out. We've been modernizing our core platforms over the last few years. We've been simplifying how work gets done, re-engineering the business processes along with the business, building strong governance, and creating a technology organization within Lion that's both dependable and also always looks forward and is innovative. We like to say it as we run the engine and redesign the engine while the car's sort of running. So similar to doing a heart transplant as well. So the business hasn't stopped running, but we have re-engineered the whole technology landscape that lies underneath or behind it as well.
So let's dig into that a bit more. Tell us about that transformation that you've led at Lion. What have been some of the standout achievements, and why do they matter so much for your organization?
So the first reason why it matters so much is it has brought Lion into the new digital age, and along with that comes a whole suite of applications for the business that were not possible in the Soviet era ERP that we used to have. And we replaced that along with another 500 odd systems across the organizational landscape and consolidated them into a meaningful set of applications, both cloud-based and on-premise. And that digital transformation journey started back in 2016 and has been going on for the last 10 years. And there has been a deliberate strategy towards adopting cloud more, moving more and more towards leaner and out-of-the-box operations, ensuring that our core systems are performing, or how I like to call it, do the basics brilliantly. So the core systems do the basics brilliantly. It's it's been about driving that clean core principle across the landscape to ensure that we are not heavily customizing it, that we are building a technology platform that is scalable, that is secure, and that's easy to evolve. We've never looked at technology projects as technology upgrades or technology changes. It's always been the backbone for the business's better planning, better execution, and insight. Secondly, the operational maturity and cost discipline that technology was sort of lacking, because we've just had organically and inorganically grown over the years and acquired many systems and many processes. There was a need to re-engineer that. So my team and I led that transformation as well, in terms of establishing a service optimized operating model and a stronger vendor delivery governance, that basically improved reliability. And for the business, it created that headroom for investing in growth rather than investing just aimlessly into any technological product. It was a deliberate move into, hey, this is the business problem that we need to solve for. Let's co-create together what the solution might look like. And that's the sort of approach we started taking towards operational maturity and investment decisions. And third and most practical would be the innovation framework that we've set out for the team as part of the digital transformation. So yes, we've got operations that run extremely secure, stable, and but we also do the basics brilliantly. But we also have set up a framework for innovation, and what that helps us do is improve not just the internal employee experience and help with the business continuity, but eventually directly impacts the customers and consumers that we serve. We have, over the last few years, launched a marketplace app that is one of the best leading in the industry, and the way that the customer and the consumer interact with Line, eventually what we want to be able to do is make Line easy to do business with. And over the last sort of 10 years or so, that's exactly what's been our objective in looking from a customer perspective, is Line easy to do business with. And from the transformation perspective, it's never been about one go live or a cut over here and a cut over there. It's always been about the capability that we have built internally, not just with the technology teams, but also with the business teams in terms of the adoption of technology. And that's been a very big focus area for me and my teams. It's after the consultants leave, what's left? Do you still have an organization that understands your technology landscape and actually is able to use it the right way? We've seen firsthand applications being bought, implemented, but also deprecated because there was no adoption. So learning from past mistakes as well. We've established a strong governance foundation with this technology transformation that now enables us to ensure that we are building that internal capability with the business.
I love that approach of doing the basics brilliantly. And you touched on this, I think, already around, large scale transformation. It's not just about the technology. It is about staying tightly aligned to, customer value and business outcomes. So what else do you think has been critical to ensuring that your transformation program does stay tightly aligned to those customer values, the business outcomes for the organization?
Yeah, so we did one thing really, really right, which was to get business at the center of the whole transformation, even though we now call it the technology transformation. But what we have been leading is actually a business transformation. Business was embedded into the core of what we were doing. So we did not make any decisions on our own. It was always co-creating with the business what the future needs to look like. We were not solving for just today and tomorrow, but also 5-10 years in the future. I'll give you an example. We just recently went live with SAP Rise, and which was moving our ERP workload to SAP's private cloud environment. Now that was planned 10 years ago in 2016 when we went SAP S4 on-premise. So it's been a deliberate strategic moves that were carefully curated and crafted along with the business, knowing that we would first go live with on-premise. We will stabilize the systems. We will make sure that we've got a technology operating environment that's actually delivering for the business. There's value, there's adoption, and then we would move on to the next steps. So it's been about crafting that roadmap, not just as a standalone technology team, but with the business ensuring that it's their KPIs that we are delivering on. We framed it as from the beginning as a set of business outcomes, not technology outcomes, with clear value cases, business ownerships, and measurable adoption. What that practically means on the ground, though, is that there's strong foundations and that basically forces prioritization, trade-offs. We've got quarterly prioritization that happens where businesses in the room with big room planning or PIPs that generally the agile world might know. It means co-creation with the functions directly themselves, so that decisions are made with people who live the process and the technology day to day, not just someone with a technology degree or someone who's higher up the chain. It's basically the people who live with it every day. It also means that adoption and change discipline is treated as part of that core delivery, not as an afterthought. And if we want to deliver a feature, if we do deliver a feature and nobody uses it, we've actually built theater. We're not built value. So for us, value is delivered not at deployment, but at adoption. So we value the business adoption very highly when it comes to delivering such large-scale transformation programs, and that's what's been at the core of what we've done over the last 5 to 7 years.
But transformation, Ram, it's never easy. So, what were some of those big challenges or resistance points that you encountered along the way, and how did you work through them?
That's a great question. You don't overcome any challenges or resistance by force. It's always making sure that the path is safer and the purpose is clearer. So I think creating and then aligning yourselves and the team to the right purpose is of paramount importance, and that's probably where we started. That's been the guiding principle that's been binding us together as a business technology team. And in large organizations, resistance is usually rational. People are protecting their outcomes, their identities, and the stability. And the biggest challenges, and to be really honest, was at some points change fatigue, because there was a lot of change going on, and we did basically do, as I mentioned before, an operation when the heart was running or when the engine's running. We basically remodeled everything around it, and that was the reason for the change fatigue. And there's always that fear of disruption to operation, but we've always been able to manage that. And there's always that genuine tension between standardization for scale and then local flexibility. And then as a guiding principle, we always, so we had a set of 4 to 5 guiding principles that we took along with us as part of the whole technology transformation program, which held us true to what we wanted to achieve as a team when there were times of disagreement or times where there's lack of co-creation. I think that's probably where those guiding principles held us steady, and we were able to get back to the business outcomes that we were trying to deliver. What worked was definitely the clarity and the trust that the team had built over the years. We were very, very explicit about the why, the trade-offs, what would change and what would not change. We created a lot of safe channels in terms of the governance for genuine pushback, so people can be safe in terms of how they push back on issues early, so that they're surfaced before they actually become politics. We also sequenced delivery so that we earn the credibility to be in the room. We also build early wins to build belief, and then the harder structural decisions were taken once the trust was established. And at the end of it, I think it all boils down to trust and co-creation with the business. If you're acting as one team and extended arm of just one team, that's what moved the needle for us.
So tell us more then about the role of partners in the transformation. How do they help you out?
we could not have delivered this without the help of external partners. The partners helped us in a single line, if I have to boil it. Partners helped us execute the strategy that we had put in place. They were not here to replace our leadership or consultants. It was mainly around them acting as capability multipliers. So we needed that. We can't build all of the capability that they brought to the table internally as well, and that from a economic sense that will not make sense at all. And we structured the relationship very carefully, and it was a genuine effort to curate that relationship. And in a transformation of this scale, partners bring experience, they are the accelerators, and they are the specialists with the depth. And we ensured that the accountability sits with us. And that could be one of the biggest reasons why some transformation programs fail when you outsource accountability. For us, the accountability always sat with us. We were deliberate about keeping business outcomes and architectural decision direction owned internally, whilst we leveraged the partners for delivery capacity, for the expertise, and for their speed. And the best partner relationships feel like the team shared the measure of success, and the high transparency and the ability to tell each other the truth very early. And to be really honest, at the end of the program, it felt like they were just part of our organization. It wasn't. It was never about us versus them or at any point. And it was yes, there were governance processes in place, but we also acted as one team.
So a true partnership then is what you're telling me about those external partners that you took on as part of this project. So what do you look for then when you are deciding who to partner with? I mean, you've spoken there about how the relationship developed and the governance processes and the accountability lying with you. But what do you look for? What makes a good partner in your view?
A good partner definitely makes themselves less necessary over time. I think that's what I have observed over my experience. I look for four things. First is outcome orientation. The partner needs to talk about impact and not activity, not task based. Second is very high on my list in terms of what gains the trust is transparency. Especially when things are hard. Is your partner going to double down when things are hard to help you out? If the answer is yes, they need to be in the room. And we've had that with our partners as well, especially Accenture, who's helped us deliver most of the bulk of this transformation program. Third is cultural fit. Like, can they work in a pragmatic, no drama way and build trust with the technology team, but also the business stakeholders, and ensure that they're not there just to sell technology. They're there to co-create with the business, and that's really important. Fourth is capability transfer. Like I said, they need to make themselves less necessary over time. And do they leave you stronger, or do they leave you dependent? I think that's where you can measure the success of any partner relationship. And for us, it was pretty clear from the beginning that we want to ensure we are signing up with a partner who leaves us stronger in terms of the capability that we need to take this technology transformation across the next few decades.
Yeah, I love that approach. Looking at your partner as a capability multiplier, but also one that knows when they can step out, that they've played their part in the transformation, and they can leave you in a better state. So, Ram, looking back then, how do you think your leadership style has evolved at Lion? As this scope and impact of technology has grown.
Oh gosh, it's a really brilliant question, and I love to talk about this especially these days. I am not 1% the same leader or the same person I was 10 years ago, and I say that with a lot of pride as well, because it has required a lot of change effort from within me personally. As technology becomes more and more strategic for organizations, what I have felt is that a technology leader, be it the CIO or the technology directors, their job becomes less about systems and applications, and it becomes more about the business outcomes, the people, and the direction. Earlier in my career, I led with technological competence. So I've always been a hands-on technology guy, tinkering with microprocessors and such. I love solving problems, being responsive, and being reliable. That basically gave me the adrenaline in the first half of my career. As the scope grew, I have had to evolve towards leading through clarity, through influence, and through developing leaders. And that's what I'm most proud of in my career. Today, my leadership team, any one of them can replace me in a split second, and then that's the beauty of leadership as well. That shift from being extremely technical to being a leader who understands technology innately has meant spending more and more time on the narrative and alignment and not just the execution part of it. And it has also meant for me personally being more intentional and courageous about authenticity in high stake moments, saying what needs to be said with respect. And we've recently read or been asked to read about this book from Kim Scott about courageous authenticity, and it's been really great to understand how you can lead with authenticity and be with care as well. So that courageous authenticity that I've developed over the years has been has been a big shift in terms of how my leadership impact is felt. Um, and as I said, it's always been about also developing more leaders. How do I develop a leadership bench that can operate with ownership and not escalation? They can just once first of all create the co-create the direction with me, but also once the direction's there, they lead their teams and they are basically on autopilot. And then you are there to provide the strategic direction to the business and to the teams, and you're not basically in the weeds every day helping with execution. And I think that's made a huge shift in my career, in my leadership journey as well.
And when you reflect back on, where technology has played a role, is there any examples that you'd like to share of, I don't know, either a good customer outcome or an employee experience that is directly been enabled by what you and the team have done?
Yeah, I can give an example for both customer and one for employee. So customer, I think I've mentioned this. We've launched a marketplace application. Customers love it, and I have personally seen the shift from when we had a shitty e-commerce website to how we've now co-created with the business and the customers a heavily modular, seamless UX uh, with which provides everything that the customer needs to enable doing business easily with us. And I think that's been a big shift, and it has won multiple awards in terms of the impact that it has had. It's one of the best marketplace e-commerce apps that's on the out there. It's been curated with a lot of effort and love from the team, and I'm really proud of that. It runs on a React front end, but on a SAP Hybris back end, and an eventual backend that is S4. So the technologies are very independent of each other, and yet they are seamlessly integrated with an excellent UX or CX, and that I'm really proud of. That's been a really game-changing experience for the business. We have seen self-service and online orders take off through the roof as we went through that whole process. We've also enabled EDI, so most of our almost 90% of our ordering now is online and digital. So I think that's been a big game changer in the way that me and my teams have curated that experience for the business. From an employee perspective, we've had a major transformation as well in terms of how internal employees perceive technology through right from the onboarding experience that they receive, for example. So every time a person is joining line, we onboard them with a buddy that's from our desktop tech bar team, and for 2 weeks they are their single point of contact for any issues they might have with their laptop. And I've heard this so many times that from new joiners that the onboarding experience that they've had with Lion is second to none, even from people joining from our competitors, and that's so great to hear. We've also ensured that with ServiceNow, we've built an internal technology and people experience platform, which is basically one-stop shop for our internal employees to self-serve anything from technology issues through to people questions, people queries, and questions. And I think all of that, bringing all of that together, has been a real treat to watch for me and my team.
I mean, you've kind of answered this already. So, but reflecting on the digital transformation, tell us more then about the role of culture, because it really is important in digital transformation. I mean, how did you foster that mindset that was open to change?
Yeah, great question. So you can definitely have the best strategy in the world, but if culture defaults to blame or fear or passive compliance, transformation will slow down. And culture is definitely the multiplier there. And we focused on building a culture of ownership, learning, and business partnership. Lion's always been great at developing people leaders, and the internal culture is fantastic. We've always had engagement in the high 70s and 80s, and that is created through mechanisms, clear decision rights, transparent prioritization, consistent communication with the teams, be it technology or business or customers, and celebrating teams for the outcomes that actually matter, and not just the heroics. Internally, we have invested heavily in engagement and leadership development. Our people all have always felt safe to speak up. That's one of the metrics that we actually, monitor. We experiment responsibly, and strong engagement for us is not a nice to have. It is important for us to be a delivery enabler. And yeah, that's exactly what we've treated culture as. It's an unmissable part of our guiding principle that we need to have a great culture, and we can't get that wrong.
And just speaking of experimentation, I mean, a lot of CIOs will be looking at this, trying to have operational stability, but also innovate, also experiment. How, from your experience, how do you balance that, especially if you're operating in a large scale, complex organization?
Doing the basics brilliantly is the first focus. You cannot have any innovation when the house is on fire. So we treat this as an operating system, not as a debate. The stability is the baseline expectation. Any innovation that you do improves the baseline over time, but unless you have stable operations, you can't be focusing on innovations. And practically, we separate experiments from the core wherever appropriate, and set clear guardrails on risk, on security, on resilience, and also define what safe to try means. We have a meeting-free Fridays where all the team members are encouraged to focus on their development, including trying out new things, innovating, and that has come up with so many ideas that have moved the needle for the business over the last few years. That safe space to experiment doesn't come without guardrails. There, we do run pilots with explicit success metrics, and kill criteria as well. So at the same time, we keep reliability strong through disciplined change control and incident management maturity. So our service management and incident management maturity, I would say, is second to none. And I think having that squared away first was definitely the changing point for us. That then leaves us room in mental and cognitive capacity to actually experiment, to bring innovative ideas. Technology keeps changing every quarter. All of our business applications go through a major upgrade every quarter. Most of them are SaaS based, so and hence they go through. So all of that innovation coming through the door, we need to have the team's capacity allocated to ensure that they are evaluating that on a weekly or a monthly basis, bringing up the ideas, then as a team, us vetting those ideas along with the business and actually adopting those emerging technology features. That cannot happen if your operations are not steady. So operational stability in my mind is number one. And once you square that away, it creates the mental room, the cognitive room for more and more innovation. So innovation without reliability is just chaos. So so hence we always focus on operational stability first and then innovation second. But for us, it's always been about ensuring that we do the basics brilliantly and then focus on innovation.
So then to wrap up, Ram, what's important to you in the months ahead? Anything else on the roadmap for 2026?
The goal is definitely not transformation. It's the goal is that the organization can keep transforming, and given the new age of emerging technologies that we are in, the teams focused on creating an AI-ready enterprise, and that's what they will be focused on for the rest of 2026. We need to ensure that our systems and our data are AI ready and that we are reaping benefits from the transformation journey that we have been through. And that also means continuing to simplify core processes, uplifting data and governance. So we are genuinely AI ready and investing in resilience and cybersecurity as business enablers. It also means building the business's capability, and that can never take a backseat. Leaders who can run platform-like products, teams who can execute with discipline, and a culture that stays curious and customer-led. That's exactly what my focus and my team's focus is going to be. At an executive level, I do care about creating an organization that can sustain change as a habit, and then obviously working along with the business leaders. That's not just a technology problem to solve per se. And that the change enablement and the adoption is not a one-off program. It has to be a continuous habit, and that's what is going to make technology a strategic advantage in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years. And although yes, we have some pilots on AI and use cases, it's more and more going to be about being ready for that generative agentic AI revolution that we're going to see in the coming years. We know for sure that the future is business technologists, that there won't be business applications that the business will be sifting through. They will be working via conversational interface to do most of their work, and to be ready for that level of change requires additional effort into stabilizing the core, strengthening the data and governance foundations, ensuring that it's AI ready, and then start building on it.
Absolutely. It's going to be an interesting few months and years ahead in technology with the advance of agentic AI and AI in general. Ram Kalyanasundaram, Technology and Digital Transformation Director at Lion, thank you so much for joining us on CIO Leadership Live.
Thank you, Cathy. Really pleasure to be here.